All right, let's kick off this deep dive, and we're going to be talking about breaking free and building, hopefully, all of our best years yet. But specifically looking at this program, it's called 2025 Blindado. That's Portuguese for 2025 Armored, and it promises to give us all the tools to not just set goals, but like really achieve them. And a big part of that, from what I'm seeing, is recognizing and breaking free from those sneaky patterns that we all have that might be holding us back.
Yeah, and it's like it's interesting because it's not just about like setting the right goals or even having a good plan, right? 2025 Blindado really, really zeroes in on these emotional and mental barriers that we put up like against ourselves.
So true. Okay, so they talk about these three pillars: capacity, disposition, and permission. And capacity and disposition to me seem pretty straightforward, like capacity having the skills, disposition, the drive. But permission, that's a new one for me. What does that even mean in this context?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Permission. The way I'm understanding it is that it's this deep inner belief that you're not just capable, but also allowed to succeed. Like you could have all the talent and motivation in the world, but
Yeah.
if you subconsciously don't feel worthy or deserving, you'll probably self-sabotage without even realizing it.
Yeah, it's like you have this invisible ceiling that you just keep bumping into, even if you seem to have everything else going for you, right? So there was this one example in the program materials about this guy who's rising through the ranks at work, starts earning like serious money,
Yeah.
but his family just couldn't handle it. They kept making all these comments about how fancy cars are only for rich folks. It's almost like they couldn't allow him to succeed because it didn't fit like their worldview.
It's a classic example of
Yeah.
how our environment and upbringing can shape our sense of permission, often in ways we're not even aware of. And that's
Right.
2025 Blindado's big claim, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of people unknowingly operate with low permission, which then impacts their choices and panics and ultimately their results.
So then how does this program like approach folks who, for one reason or another, just end up kind of giving up on their dreams? Do they just tell everyone to think positive?
It's a little bit more nuanced than that. They categorize what they call desistant individuals into three types. First, you've got those who don't believe yet, right? Maybe they've never been given reason to trust in their potential. Then there are those who don't believe anymore. Perhaps they've been burned in the past, experienced setbacks, lost their confidence.
And then there's the don't believe anymore, with the emphasis on the anymore. Those are the folks who have kind of settled. They've decided, enough is enough, and just stop pushing for more.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this ties directly back to permission, right? The program is suggesting that, recognizing where you fall on this spectrum. It's a crucial first step. It's not about labeling yourself, but about understanding your starting point so you can start to kind of shift your mindset.
This whole idea of permission, it really has me thinking, it makes me wonder if a lot of the challenges people face in areas like their health, relationships, even their finances, might actually stem from this lack of self-belief. 2025 Blindado seems to think so, right?
Yeah, and it's a great observation. And yes, the program makes this pretty bold claim that emotional dependence plays a massive role in all those areas.
Right.
But we need to be clear about what they actually mean by emotional dependence.
Yeah,
right?
it's not just about like being clingy or needy, right?
Right. They're defining it as allowing your actions and your feelings to be dictated by the emotional states of others. So think of it as constantly looking outward for validation or approval instead of trusting your own inner compass.
There was this one story in the program materials that really stuck with me about this woman. She dreamed of moving to another state, but every time she got close, her son would mysteriously get sick. It was like she was so tied to his well-being that she almost felt guilty pursuing her own dreams.
It's a powerful illustration of how emotional dependence can operate in these subtle ways. And the program actually makes a really strong connection between this dynamic and financial success. They argue that until you address these patterns of seeking that external validation, you'll likely struggle to reach your full potential, especially financially.
So it's not just about learning to budget or invest, but it's also about understanding these emotional and relational patterns that might be influencing your money decisions. It's about breaking free from those limiting beliefs that tell you you're not allowed to have abundance.
Precisely. It's a fascinating perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is where things get even more interesting. 2025 Blindado introduces this concept of pre-queda, which means pre-fall.
Pre-fall. So like before you actually fall.
Yes. The idea is that challenges and setbacks, these pre-falls, are almost always necessary precursors to significant personal breakthroughs. It's like saying those moments when you feel like you're about to stumble are actually the most crucial steps on your path to success.
Okay, that's a mind shift for sure, right? I usually see setbacks as failures, not stepping stones.
And the program backs this up with stories of people who achieved incredible things after going through difficult experiences. They're suggesting that these challenges weren't just random roadblocks, but rather essential parts of their journey.
So it's almost like saying you can't have the breakthrough without first having the pre-fall.
It's a really powerful way of reframing those difficult moments, wouldn't you
Yeah.
say? And it makes me wonder, are there specific types of people or relationship patterns that might be contributing to these pre-falls? Because if we can learn to identify those, maybe we can navigate them more skillfully. 2025 Blindato actually outlines 3 distinct relationship patterns that they believe can sabotage
Oh,
success.
this is getting interesting. Tell me more.
They call them victims, avengers, and narcissists.
Oh, I have a feeling I know a few people who might fit those descriptions.
Let's start with victims, right?
Yeah.
These are the folks who constantly pull you down with their negativity and neediness. It's like they thrive on the drama, always needing rescuing.
Ah, yes. The energy
But
vampires.
then you've got the avengers, stuck in the past, holding on to grudges, seeking retribution for old hurts. They might even unknowingly sabotage your success as a way to kind of even the score.
Hurt people,
Oh.
right. But how does that play out in terms of like actually holding someone back?
It can manifest in subtle ways. Imagine you have a friend who's always reminding you of your past failures or downplaying your accomplishments. Their negativity, even if it's unintentional, can chip away at your confidence, right? And make you
Yeah.
question your ability to succeed.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about the narcissists?
These are the individuals who demand constant attention and validation. Their world revolves around their own needs.
Yeah.
And they might unknowingly block your path by making everything about them.
Like they're so focused on their own reflection that they can't even see the amazing things you're trying to build.
That's a great way to put it. Now, it's important to note that 2025 Blindato isn't about pointing fingers
Right.
or labeling people, right? It's about recognizing these patterns and how they might be impacting your own journey.
So it's more about awareness than judgment.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, are any of these patterns playing out in my life?
Yeah.
And if so, how are they affecting my ability to reach my goals?
I think that's a really important distinction. Now, this all kind of ties back to the idea of taking responsibility for your own success, right? I mean, we can't always control the people around us, but we can control how we react to them, right?
Yeah.
And how much we allow them to influence our lives.
Absolutely. And 2025 Blindato takes this a step further by encouraging you to analyze recurring patterns in your own life, focusing on 3 key areas: events, behaviors, and relationships.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Imagine you're a detective investigating a case, but the case is your own life. They suggest starting by identifying 3 negative events that happen repeatedly. These could be anything from job loss to financial struggles to recurring conflicts in your
The
relationship.
things that just keep popping up over and over again.
Exactly. Then you examine your typical behaviors in response to those events, right? Do you tend to self-sabotage or procrastinate, blame others, isolate yourself? Understanding your go-to reaction is crucial.
This is getting really introspective.
And lastly, you consider the relationships
Mm-hmm.
involved when these patterns emerge.
Hmm.
Who is present when those negative events occur? What roles do they play? Are they supporting you, or are they somehow contributing to the problem?
So it's like becoming a detective of your own life, uncovering the clues to understand why these patterns keep repeating. Do they have any tools or exercises to kind of help with this?
They do. They offer guided exercises in the program materials. One simple but powerful exercise is to write down those 3 recurring negative events and then reflect on the associated behaviors and relationships. It helps bring those unconscious patterns to the surface.
So it's a great way to start uncovering those hidden dynamics that might be at play. If we're talking about, breaking free from these patterns and building our best year, what are some of the practical strategies that 2025 Blindato offers?
We've got a whole toolkit really for transformation. We'll delve into the specifics a bit later, but the core idea is to equip you with the knowledge and the skills to identify your limiting patterns, challenge those negative beliefs, and consciously create a more empowered reality.
I like that. It's not just about positive thinking. It's about taking concrete action to change those deep-seated patterns that are holding you back.
Exactly. And they really stress that this is an ongoing process. Building your best year isn't a destination, it's a journey of continuous growth and evolution.
So it's about embracing the journey and trusting that the process will lead you to where you need to be.
And 2025 Blendado is there to guide you every step of the way, providing the support and the resources to help you create a year that is truly extraordinary. And one of the most compelling tools 2025 Blendado offers is this concept of identifying your personal grain of sand.
Grain of sand, that's an interesting metaphor. How does a tiny grain of sand relate to like personal transformation?
Think of it this way. A grain of sand on its own might seem, insignificant, but a collection of grains of sand can create something magnificent. A beautiful beach or a towering sand dune, even a precious pearl. In the same way, 2025 Blendado suggests that each of us has this unique grain of sand, a special talent or skill or even a perspective that sets us apart.
So it's about like identifying that one thing that makes you truly shine, that value you bring to the world that no one else can replicate.
Precisely. And the program argues that when you focus on cultivating your grain of sand, you unlock this level of success and fulfillment.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be possible if you're just spreading yourself thin, trying to be everything to everyone.
It's like jack of all trades, master of none.
Right. Yeah.
It's better to be exceptional at one thing than mediocre at many. But how do you actually like figure out what your grain of sand is?
2025 Blendado provides a series of exercises and reflections to guide you through this process of self-discovery. It involves, examining your past experiences, noticing what you naturally gravitate towards, and identifying the activities that bring you joy and make you feel energized.
So it's a combination of looking inward, paying attention to those moments when you feel most alive, and maybe even experimenting with new things to see what sparks your interest.
Exactly. It might take some time and exploration,
Yeah.
but they assure listeners that once you discover your grain of sand, it's like a light bulb goes off. You gain this sense of clarity and purpose
Yeah.
that can transform every area of your life.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how this concept could be applied to different aspects of life, not just career, but let's stick with that for a moment. Do they share any examples of how people have actually leveraged their grain of sand to achieve like professional success?
They do. One story that comes to mind is about this woman. She was a talented musician, but struggling to make a living doing what she loved. She was trying everything, teaching, performing, composing, but nothing seemed to stick.
So she had the passion, she had the skills, but was kind of lacking the direction or the strategy to turn it into a sustainable career.
Exactly. She was spreading her energy thin instead of focusing on her core strength.
Yeah.
And then she had this realization. Her true grain of sand wasn't just her musical ability. It was her ability to connect with people on an emotional level through her music.
So it wasn't just about playing the notes. It was about like creating an experience for her audience, touching their hearts, making them feel something.
Precisely. Once she shifted her focus from simply performing to creating this genuine connection with her listeners, everything changed. She started offering these intimate concerts, writing personalized songs, and building a community around her music.
That's a great example of how identifying and embracing your grain of sand can unlock this whole new level of purpose and impact, even in a field that might, traditionally be considered
Competitive.
or challenging.
And they emphasize
Yeah.
that it's not always about being the loudest or the most visible. Sometimes your grain of sand is about,
Yeah.
the quiet, subtle ways you make a difference.
It's about recognizing that your unique contribution matters, even if it doesn't fit like the conventional definition of success. Now, we talked earlier about the program's emphasis on emotional dependence and its impact on finances. And I'm curious, does the concept of grain of sand play a role in that aspect as well?
Absolutely. 2025 Blendado suggests that when you align your work or business with your grain of sand, when you're operating from your core strength, you're more likely to attract abundance and achieve financial stability.
Because you're not forcing yourself into a mold that doesn't fit. You're not chasing after every shiny object that comes along. You're staying true to what you're good at and letting that guide your decisions.
Exactly. And they argue that this alignment can help you overcome those limiting beliefs and financial ceilings we discussed earlier. When you're working in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling, you naturally project this sense of confidence and competence that attracts opportunities and financial rewards.
It makes me think of those entrepreneurs who are wildly successful, not just because they have a great product or service, but because they radiate this passion and purpose in everything they do. Their grain of sand is evident in every aspect of their business.
That's a great observation. And they highlight that understanding your grain of sand can also help you, navigate those financial pre-falls we talked about earlier.
How so?
Remember, those pre-falls are often triggered by our own limiting beliefs or emotional patterns. But when you're anchored in your grain of sand, when you have that strong sense of self-worth and purpose, you're less likely to be swayed by those tempting opportunities or impulsive decisions that could lead to financial setbacks.
It's like having a compass that keeps you on track even when the storms hit. You're less likely to get swept away by fear or scarcity because you know your value and you trust in your ability to weather the challenges.
Exactly. And speaking of finances, another really intriguing tool they offer is what they call the PDA approach.
PDA, like those little handheld computers from back in the day.
You got it. But in this context, PDA stands for Perceiver, Decider, Agir, which translates to perceive, decide, act.
Okay, I can see how that could be applied to finances.
It's a simple but powerful framework for taking control of your financial situation. First, you perceive, you become aware of the patterns, the thoughts, the behaviors. That might be contributing to your current financial reality. It's about taking a step back and observing your relationship with money without judgment.
So it's like that initial step of mindfulness, really, really tuning in to what's going on internally and externally.
Yes. Then you decide. You make a conscious choice about what you want to change, what your new financial goals are, and what steps you need to take to achieve them. It's
Yep.
about, taking ownership and setting those clear intentions.
And then finally, you act. You put those decisions into motion. You take those concrete steps to shift those patterns, to implement those changes, and to move towards your desired financial reality.
Exactly. It's a simple framework, but incredibly effective. Yeah. And they emphasize that action is key. It's not enough to just, think about it or talk about it.
Yeah.
You have to actually do something.
I love that. It's about turning those intentions into tangible results. Now we talked earlier about 2025 Blendado placing a strong emphasis on emotional and relational patterns. How does the PDA approach factor into those areas?
They argue that the PDA approach can be applied to any area of life, not just finances.
Yeah.
For example, let's say you're struggling with a recurring pattern of conflict in a relationship.
Okay, so you're constantly arguing with your partner or feeling like misunderstood by a friend.
Exactly. Using the PDA framework,
Yeah.
you would first perceive, you'd pay attention to the patterns, the triggers, the communication breakdowns that are contributing to the conflict. You'd observe your own reactions and your partner's or friend's
It's
responses.
just about like getting curious about the dynamic without blaming or judging.
Yes. Then you'd decide. You'd make a conscious choice about what you want to change, what kind of communication or boundaries you need to implement, and what steps you can take to improve the relationship.
It's about setting an intention for a more positive and harmonious interaction.
Exactly. And then you act. You put those decisions into practice. You might initiate a conversation, set a boundary, or seek support from a therapist or a counselor.
It's about taking those proactive steps to shift the dynamic and create a healthier relationship.
And 2025 Blendado really stresses that it's an ongoing process, right? You might not see results overnight, but with consistent effort and a willingness to apply the PDA approach, you can create lasting change in any area of your life.
It's about trusting the process, embracing the journey, and knowing that even small steps can lead to big breakthroughs.
Exactly, and they provide a supportive community and resources to help you stay motivated and accountable along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from identifying our grain of sand to navigating those financial pre-falls to applying the PDA approach in different areas of our lives. What are some of the key takeaways we should kind of keep in mind as we move forward?
One of the biggest takeaways for me is that 2025 Blendado isn't just about, achieving external success. It's about addressing the internal game as well.
It's about recognizing that our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotional patterns all play this crucial role in shaping our reality.
Exactly. And they offer these practical tools and strategies to help us understand and shift those patterns. The grain of sand, the PDA approach, the pre-falls. These are all frameworks we can use to create lasting change in any area of our lives.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge, it's about applying it. and they emphasize the importance of consistency, repetition, and creating a supportive environment for growth.
Absolutely. It's not a one-time fix, it's an ongoing journey
Yeah.
of self-discovery and transformation.
And what's really inspiring is that they highlight real-life stories of people who've used this program to achieve amazing things. They've overcome challenges, created fulfilling relationships, and built lives they love, all by applying these principles.
It's a reminder that change is possible for anyone, and that with the right tools and support, we can all create a life that is truly extraordinary.
This whole grain of sand thing, it really has me thinking. They shared some really compelling examples of how people have used this concept to create like successful careers, but I'm curious how it applies to other areas of life. Like, how would someone leverage their grain of sand in their relationships?
That's a great question, and 2025 Blendado actually addresses that directly. They believe that understanding your grain of sand can make you a better partner, parent, or friend.
How so?
It's about recognizing that
That
you can't be everything to everyone, right? You have your own unique strengths and talents, and when you focus on those, you naturally attract people who appreciate and value those qualities.
So it's about like showing up authentically, letting your grain of sand shine, and trusting that the right people will be drawn to that energy.
Exactly, and they share stories of people who once they embrace their grain of sand in their relationships, experience deeper connection, more fulfilling partnerships, and even greater success in their careers.
Because they were operating from a place of strength and authenticity, not trying to fit themselves into someone else's mold. That makes a lot of sense. What about in the realm of personal growth? How does identifying your grain of sand impact your own self-development journey?
They argue that when you focus on developing your core strength, that unique talent that sets you apart, you actually accelerate your personal growth in all areas of your life. It's like you tap into this wellspring of energy and motivation.
It's like that saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
And they emphasize that personal growth isn't just about fixing your flaws or weaknesses. It's about cultivating your strengths and using them to create a life you love.
It's about celebrating what makes you unique and special and then sharing those gifts with the world. This all sounds incredibly empowering, but I'm also curious about the people who might be like struggling with this concept, who feel like they haven't found their grain of sand yet. What advice does 2025 Blendado offer for those who are still searching?
The program acknowledges that it can be a challenging process,
Yes.
especially if you've spent years trying to fit in or live up to other people's expectations. They encourage you to be patient with yourself. It's not a race or a competition.
It's about giving yourself permission to explore and experiment without judgment.
Exactly. And
Right.
and they suggest, trying new things, paying attention to what sparks your curiosity and noticing what activities make you lose track of time. It's about reconnecting with that sense of childlike wonder and allowing yourself to be surprised by what you discover.
It's like becoming a detective of your own soul, looking for those clues that point to your unique grain of sand.
And they encourage you to reach out for support. Talk to friends, family, mentors, or coaches who can offer insights and perspectives. Sometimes those closest to us can see our strengths more clearly than we can see them ourselves.
It's about leveraging the wisdom and experience of others to help illuminate your path. Now, I'm really curious to hear some concrete examples of how people have actually identified and applied this grain of sand concept in their lives. Do the program materials share any inspiring stories?
Absolutely. They feature a variety of stories from people who have experienced significant breakthroughs by embracing their grain of sand. One story that stands out is about a man who was a successful entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
but felt unfulfilled in his work. He had built this thriving business, but it wasn't aligned with his true passion.
So he had achieved external success, but was lacking that internal sense of purpose. Like he was going through the motions, but wasn't truly lit up by what he was doing.
Exactly. He had the skills and the drive,
Yeah.
but wasn't utilizing his grain of sand. After some soul searching, he realized that his true gift was his ability to inspire and motivate others. He was a natural leader and a gifted speaker, and he loved helping people reach their full potential.
So It wasn't about the business itself,
Uh-huh.
but about the impact he was able to create through his leadership
Yeah.
and his ability to connect with people on a deeper level.
Exactly. And once he acknowledged this, he made this bold decision. He sold his business and started a coaching company focusing on helping entrepreneurs build businesses that were aligned with their passions.
So it's like he finally found his calling,
Yeah.
a way to utilize his grain of sand to make a real difference in the world. Did it work out? Was he successful in this new venture?
Yeah. The impact was incredible. Not only did he create this thriving coaching practice, but he also experienced this level of joy and fulfillment that he had never felt before. He was finally using his unique gifts to make a positive impact on others. And that brought him this sense of purpose
Yeah.
that no amount of money could buy.
That's such a powerful example of,
Yeah.
of how aligning your life with your grain of sand can lead to both personal and professional fulfillment. It's not just about like finding your passion. It's about finding your unique way of expressing that passion and sharing it with the world.
In 2025, Blindato emphasizes that it's an ongoing process, right? As you grow and evolve, your grain of sand might shift or expand. It's about staying true to yourself,
Yeah.
listening to your inner compass, and allowing your unique talents to shine brighter with each passing year.
It's like you're constantly polishing your gem, refining your craft, and becoming more and more of who you were meant to be. Now you mentioned earlier that 2025 Blindato highlights a variety of success stories. Do they share any other examples of how people have used this grain of sand concept to create positive change in their lives?
They do, and one of the things they emphasize is that your grain of sand doesn't have to be something, grandiose or extraordinary. It can be a simple talent or a quiet strength or a unique perspective that you bring to the world.
So it's not about comparing yourself to others or trying to be someone you're not. It's about embracing what makes you special and finding a way to share that with the world, no matter how big or small it may seem.
Exactly. And they encourage you not to underestimate the power of your grain of sand, however, seemingly insignificant it might appear.
Because even the smallest act of kindness, the smallest spark of creativity can have this ripple effect and create positive change in the world. It's about recognizing that we all have something unique to contribute, a way to make the world a better place.
And 2025 Blindato provides a framework and a set of tools to help you uncover, cultivate, and share that gift with the world.
So if you're feeling lost, unsure of your purpose, or simply yearning to make a greater impact, this grain of sand concept offers a powerful path forward.
It's an invitation to step into your power, embrace your authenticity, and create a life that truly reflects who you are at your core.
I love that. It's about recognizing that each of us has something special to offer, a unique way of shining our light and making the world a more beautiful place.
Now, we've explored a lot of ground here, from permission and pre-falls to the power of identifying your grain of sand. It's a lot to process, but it all comes together to create this really comprehensive roadmap for personal transformation.
It's like they've given us a toolkit filled with powerful concepts and practical strategies that we can use to create lasting change in any area of our
It's
lives.
not just a collection of, random self-improvement tips. It's a cohesive system for creating lasting change in every area of your life.
And it's so much more than just like setting goals and making plans. It's about doing the inner work, understanding the emotional and relational patterns that might be holding you back, and creating a life that is truly aligned with your authentic self.
And what I appreciate
Yeah.
is that they don't just present the concepts. They offer practical tools, exercises, and strategies that you can actually implement in your daily life.
It's not just theoretical knowledge, it's actionable wisdom. And
Yeah.
and they emphasize the importance of support, community, and accountability. They recognize that it's much easier to stay motivated and on track when you have a tribe of like-minded individuals cheering you on.
Exactly. It's like having a team of support and encouragement to help you navigate the challenges and celebrate the wins along the way.
Now, I know some of our listeners might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm not sure where to start. What advice would you offer someone who is feeling like overwhelmed or unsure about how to apply these concepts in their own life?
That's a great question. And 2025 Blindato addresses that directly. They emphasize that you don't have to do everything at once. right? Start with one small step. Choose one concept that resonates with you, and
Yeah.
and focus on implementing that in your life.
So maybe you start with identifying one wrong red that you want to eliminate, or one right red that you want to cultivate.
Exactly. Or perhaps you start exploring the idea of your grain of sand and see what emerges. The key is to be patient with yourself, trust the process, and
Yeah.
celebrate every step you take towards creating a life that feels more aligned, more joyful, and more fulfilling.
I love that. It's about embracing the journey and remembering that transformation is an ongoing process. There will be ups and downs, but the key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
And that's what 2025 Blendado is all about. It's about empowering you to take control of your life, make conscious choices,
Mhm.
and create a reality that's aligned with your deepest desires.
This whole concept of emotional dependence, it really intrigued me. They make a strong case that it can impact not only our relationships but also our finances. I'm curious, do they offer any specific strategies for overcoming emotional dependence, particularly when it comes to money?
They do. And one of their key recommendations is to start recognizing the ways in which emotional dependence
Mm.
might be showing up in your financial life. For example, do you find yourself, overspending to please others or to seek validation?
Or maybe avoiding financial conversations out of fear of conflict or disapproval.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're holding yourself back from pursuing, financial opportunities
Yeah.
because you're afraid of what others might think or say.
It's like those limiting beliefs we talked about earlier. Money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy. These beliefs can be so deeply ingrained that we don't even realize they're holding us back.
And 2025 Blendado encourages you to challenge those beliefs.
Yeah.
They suggest, asking yourself, where did these beliefs come from?
Yeah.
Are they really true? And most importantly, how are they serving you?
It's about becoming aware of those thought patterns, and then choosing to replace them with more empowering beliefs that support your financial growth and well-being. Do they offer any specific techniques for doing this?
They do. One technique they highlight, it's called affirmation replacement. It's about identifying the negative beliefs that are holding you back and then consciously replacing them with positive affirmations that align with your desired financial reality.
So, for example, instead of thinking I'm not good with money, you might start affirming I am a wise and responsible steward of my finances.
Exactly. And they emphasize the importance of repetition and consistency. The more you repeat those affirmations, the more you begin to rewire your subconscious mind and create new neural pathways that support your financial abundance.
Like you're creating a new mental blueprint for success.
And they also encourage you to, seek out support from others who are on a similar path. Surround yourself with people who are financially savvy and who inspire you to grow.
It's like building a tribe
Hmm.
of financially empowered individuals who can support and encourage each other along the way.
Exactly. And they offer group coaching, online forums, and other resources to foster that sense of community and accountability.
Now, all this talk about finances, it reminds me of something we touched on earlier. Those pre-falls. Do they offer any specific guidance for navigating those financial setbacks and challenges?
Absolutely. They encourage you to, anticipate those moments where you might be tempted to fall back into old patterns,
Yep.
to spend impulsively, make decisions based on fear or scarcity, or get sidetracked by shiny objects.
It's like developing a preemptive strike
Yeah.
against those self-sabotaging tendencies.
Exactly, and they offer specific strategies for dealing with those pre-falls. One technique they emphasize is the grain of sand approach to your work or business.
Wait, how does your grain of sand connect to financial pre-falls?
They argue that when you're operating from your core strength, when you're focused on what you're truly good at, you're less likely to get pulled off track by those tempting opportunities or shiny objects
Yeah.
that might lead to financial setbacks.
Like you're building a strong foundation, so you're not so easily swayed by external forces.
Exactly. And they encourage you to, identify the specific pre-falls you're most susceptible to, and then develop personalized strategies for dealing with them.
This is getting really nuanced and strategic. It's like you're creating a financial game plan that takes into account your strengths, your weaknesses, and your potential pitfalls.
And they highlight the importance of self-awareness, right? You have to understand your own patterns,
Yeah.
your own triggers, your own tendencies, in order to effectively navigate those financial pre-falls.
It's like becoming a financial ninja, anticipating and deflecting those obstacles with skill and grace. Host speaker. Now, as we move into kind of the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear more about what they call the wrong red, and how that concept ties into building your best year.
Yeah, that's a great segue. The wrong red.
Yeah.
It's this fascinating concept that really challenges us to examine like where our attention is focused and how that might be impacting our overall well-being and success.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
So the wrong red, most of us get caught up in problems, distractions, even drama that ultimately doesn't serve us.
Yeah. It's like that saying, what you focus on expands, right?
Yeah,
If you're constantly dwelling on the negative or what's wrong, you're more likely to just attract more of that into your life.
exactly. And they use this color red to represent those things that drain our energy, steal our focus, keep us feeling stuck. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect, but rather about becoming aware of what we're giving our power away to.
So the wrong red could be like anything from a toxic relationship to a job you hate
Yeah.
to constantly like consuming negative news.
Precisely. It's about identifying those things that leave you feeling, depleted or stressed or anxious, like those warning signs, those red flags
Yeah.
that we ignore or we get so used to that we don't even see them anymore.
This is making me think about those times when I felt like overwhelmed or just stuck in a rut. It's like I was surrounded by wrong red, but didn't even realize it was like contributing to my overall sense of unhappiness.
In 2025, Blendado challenges you to take this honest inventory of your life
Yeah.
and ask yourself, what is the wrong red that I'm tolerating? What am I giving my power away to?
Yeah, it's about taking responsibility for our choices and deciding what we're no longer willing to put up with.
And they emphasize that this isn't about, you know, blaming others or playing the victim. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose what we allow into our lives
Yeah.
and what we focus our attention on.
So it's about like setting boundaries, saying no to what doesn't serve us, and creating space for those things that bring us joy and energy.
Absolutely. And they offer specific strategies for eliminating
Mm-hmm.
or minimizing the wrong red in our lives. One technique they highlight is called the detachment protocol.
Attachment protocol. Okay.
It's not as intense as it might sound. The idea is to consciously disengage from those people,
Mhm.
situations, or even patterns that are no longer serving your highest good.
So it's not necessarily about like cutting people out of your life entirely, but more about like shifting the dynamic and
Right.
creating healthier boundaries.
Exactly. For example, if you have a friend who's constantly negative and complaining, you might choose to limit your interactions with them or set a boundary around the topics you're willing to discuss.
It's about protecting your own energy
Right.
and emotional well-being.
Precisely. And 2025 Blendado provides a step-by-step process for implementing the detachment protocol. It involves recognizing the wrong red, and acknowledging its impact on you, and then consciously choosing to detach from it.
And that might involve things like setting boundaries or
Right.
or saying no or having like difficult conversations or even ending relationships that are toxic or draining.
And they acknowledge that this can be challenging.
Yeah.
It takes courage and strength, and sometimes even support from others. But they argue that the rewards are well worth the effort.
Because ultimately, it's
Yeah.
about creating a life that is aligned with your values, your goals, your highest vision of yourself.
Exactly. Now, 2025 Blendado doesn't just focus on eliminating the negative. They also emphasize the importance of filling the void left by removing that wrong red.
So it's not just about taking things away, but it's
Yeah.
also about like adding things in that bring us joy and purpose and fulfillment.
Precisely. And
Wow.
they encourage you to focus on what they call the right red.
Okay, so if wrong red is the negative, right red must be like the
Yeah.
positive.
It's about shifting your attention to those things that energize you, inspire you, and make you feel alive. It's about finding those activities, relationships, and experiences that that light you up and fill your cup.
This is making me think about that gratitude exercise we talked about earlier. It's about choosing to focus on the good, on what we're grateful for, and letting that energy kind of guide our choices and our actions.
Exactly. 2025 Blindato offers a variety of suggestions for cultivating right red in our lives. This could involve, spending time in nature, pursuing creative passions, connecting with loved ones, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in activities that bring us joy and a sense of purpose.
It's like creating like a personal joy list,
Yeah.
and then intentionally making time for those things in our daily
And
lives.
they emphasize that right red doesn't have to be, grand or extravagant. It could be simple things like listening to your favorite music, or taking a walk in the park, enjoying a delicious meal, or having a meaningful conversation with a friend.
It's about savoring those little moments of pleasure and
Yeah.
finding joy in the everyday. I think that's such a beautiful reminder, especially in our fast-paced, often stressful world.
And they argue that when you consciously shift your focus from wrong red to right red, you naturally create more abundance, happiness, and fulfillment in your life.
Like you're raising your vibration,
Yeah.
attracting more positive experiences, and creating a reality that's more aligned with your deepest desires.
Precisely. And they emphasize that this isn't about, denying the challenges or pretending everything is perfect.
Mhm.
It's about choosing where you focus your energy and recognizing that you have the power
Mhm.
to create a life that is filled with joy, meaning, and purpose.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
so empowering. And as we wrap up this deep dive into 2025 Blendado, I'm really struck by how all these concepts that we've discussed, from identifying our grain of sand to navigating pre-falls to understanding the power of permission, it all kind of weaves together to create this really comprehensive framework for personal transformation.
It's not just a collection of random self-improvement tips. It's a cohesive system
Hmm.
for creating lasting change in every area of your life.
And it's so much more than just setting goals and making plans. It's about, doing that inner work, understanding the emotional and relational patterns that might be holding you back, and creating a life that is truly aligned with your authentic self.
And what I appreciate is that they don't just, present the concepts. They offer practical tools, exercises, and strategies that you can actually implement in your daily life.
It's not just like theoretical knowledge, it's actionable wisdom. And they emphasize the importance of support, community, and accountability. They recognize that it's much easier to stay motivated and on track when you have a tribe of like-minded individuals cheering you on.
Exactly. It's like having a team of support and encouragement to help you navigate the challenges
Yeah.
and celebrate the wins along the way.
Now, I know some of our listeners might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm not sure where to start. What advice would you offer someone who's feeling like overwhelmed or unsure about how to apply these concepts in their own life?
That's a great question. And 2025 Blindado addresses that directly. They emphasize that you don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Start with one small step. Choose one concept that resonates with you and focus on implementing that in your life.
So maybe you start with identifying one wrong red that you want to eliminate,
Yeah.
or one right red that you want to cultivate.
Exactly. Or perhaps you start exploring the idea of your grain of sand and see what emerges. The key is to be patient with yourself. Trust the process and celebrate every step you take towards creating a life that feels more aligned, more joyful, and more fulfilling.
I love that. It's about embracing the journey and remembering that transformation is an ongoing process, right? There will be ups and downs. But the key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
And that's what 2025 Blindado is all about.
Yeah.
It's about empowering you to take control of your life,
Hmm.
make conscious choices, and create a reality that is aligned with your deepest desires.
And if you're listening to this, it means you're already on the right path. You're seeking knowledge, you're open to growth, and you're ready to make positive changes.
And that's all it takes to get started. One small step, one conscious choice, one moment of courage can set you on a course to creating a life that is truly extraordinary.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into 2025 Blendado, here's a final thought-provoking question for you, our listener. If you could eliminate one wrong red from your life and replace it with one right red, what would they be, and how might that simple shift transform your experience of this new year?
We encourage you to reflect on this question. Journal about it or discuss it with someone you trust. And most importantly, take action. Because even the smallest step in the right direction can lead to incredible breakthroughs.
So go out there, embrace your grain of sand, and create a year that is filled with purpose, joy, and abundance.